Hey, I'm Chase, and this is All Things Random. Today, we're looking at the BLANCPAIN 50 Fathoms. Whoa, stop. Actually, I don't have enough money for a BLANCPAIN 50 Fathoms, so what I got instead is the Phorcydes Homage. Now, what are we talking about today? Today, we're talking about the Phorcydes Lip 50 Fathoms Homage. Now, before we get into the real history of it, let's just flip the camera around and dive right into the review. When looking at the Phorcydes, it's hard not to see a vintage aesthetic that's reminiscent of the 1960s. The K-shape, the dial, and even the word lip is actually from a relatively unknown watch from the 1960s, the BLANCPAIN 50 Fathoms Lip. Now, everyone is familiar with the 50 Fathoms, but little is known about this one. This BLANCPAIN was designed for the French market next to the 50 Fathoms. Now, the 50 Fathoms, of course, was originally designed for the French Navy. However, the lip was not as successful and did not last nearly as long as the market. The differences are clear, but most notably, the bezel is far thinner on the lip than the original 50 Fathoms. Step in the Phorcydes, a clear homage to the Lip 50 Fathoms. There are differences. Now, the differences include the hands and the very thick loomed indices that make this thing light up a room whenever you walk in from the daylight. And when I say light up a room, I mean just like a flashlight. In fact, a quick glance at an angle and you can see just how thick the loom is. Now, the watch sits at 42 millimeters in diameter, which is a sweet spot for most, but some it's a little too large. On my 7¼ inch wrist, this watch has a large footprint due to its lug-to-lug of being nearly 52 millimeters long. The height of this watch is just over 15 millimeters, and this is due to that extremely domed sapphire crystal. Now, inside the watch, it's powered by an NH35. Now, this is a good and a bad thing. The good thing is the NH35 is a workhorse movement with a beat rate of 21,600 beats an hour, giving it 6 ticks a second. Not the smoothest sweep, but it does do its job. The movement is in a lot of micro brands and has a proven track record. Now, that being said, the NH35 is equipped with a date wheel. Now, you can see, it's plain as day, this watch does not have a date window. So, the issue is that with a quick pull of the crown at the 3 o'clock position, the first position is a ghost position, meaning that you can turn the crown and there's no date. You can feel it click over, but there's just nothing there. Then with a second pull, finally it adjusts the date. Now, what I like to do is I like to play a game with these type of watches where you can spin it around and feel exactly when it clicks over. And it tells you whether or not the date is actually lined up with the 12 o'clock or if they just slapped it on, and when you roll it over, oh, click, there it is at 9 o'clock. It is 3 hours off. But you're not going to see it anyway. It's just a game I like to play. There are plenty of movements that are more affordable that offer no date. I only wish that companies like this would listen to the consumers. I would happily pay an extra bit of money for the attention to detail. Now, the case shape and finishing are quite nice. Brushing all around the case with a slight pop of high polish just beneath the bezel. Screw down crown with a deceptive 50 Fathoms as it is an homage. But this watch only offers 200 meters of water resistance. Now, anybody knows in the diving world that 50 fathoms means 300 meters. Now, I get the reference in the fact that if you look at the screw-down case back, you can see that clearly it is indicative of French with the automatique and the 50 fathoms. Like, I understand what they're doing. It is an homage to the 50 Fathoms, but if you're gonna do an homage to the 50 Fathoms, you're gonna write 50 Fathoms on the back, at least offer the 300 meters of water resistance. Now, the bezel is nice. It does have 120 click, unidirectional, a nice finish, and very legible marking. The coin edge offers decent enough grip. but the marker at the 12 o'clock is hard to distinguish at a quick glance. Now, it is true to the original. However, as a dive watch, it would be difficult to use under any type of low lighting situations. Now the dial. The dial is fully loomed with large indices at the hours and the minute track around the inside. Arabic numerals at the 12, 3, 6, and 9, with small indication triangles corresponding with the minute track and a square beneath the 12. The dial is clean and uncluttered, which I am very happy with just the words Phorcydes and lip hovering over the center in the top half and the word automatic opposite on the lower half. Now there is a lot to say about this watch. I love the curvature of the case. I love the curvature of the crystal. In fact, it gives it a nice distortion effect when you start to turn it at an angle. I even love the bezel. Even though the coin edge isn't quite as deep as I would like, again, still more true to the original. Now, unlike the original, you can see that the loom plots, like I said earlier, are extremely thick. Again, this is great for any type of diving watch because this thing just sucks up those UV rays and just is brilliant and bright for a very long period of time. Both the bezel and the dial is loomed, which is extremely nice to see. The watch is extremely comfortable on the wrist and for me was applied on this rubber strap. The lug width is 22 millimeters, so you can find any other strap to replace it if you don't like the supplied rubber strap. Honestly, on any type of strap, I think this thing would be extremely comfortable, but being on the supplied strap that was offered to me, this thing is easy to wear. Now it does sit slightly high, however, mostly it's due to that domed crystal, and honestly, it slips underneath the cuff with no problem at all. Now I think they did a very good job giving this watch a very good vintage aesthetic. Clearly, like I said, the design came from an original watch from the 1960s, the BLANCPAIN lip, and clearly they're given a nod with the word lip below the Phorcydes. However, I think that there's a few things they could have done differently. The NH35, that could be differently. However, it does offer the smooth sweep, which is better to see than a quartz movement that is just a little cheaper. I love the fact that the case is more cushion shaped and is very comfortable on the wrist. Now, overall, I am a big fan of this watch. It does have some pros, it does have some cons, it does have a lot of good quality stuff like the sapphire dome crystal, but then you look at something like the NH35 and I'm just not a big fan of that ghost date. It is unnecessary. It's not hard to spend an extra $20 a watch and just get the correct movement that just brings it above where it is now. Other than that, I think it's a pretty good watch, and I love that it's just super simple on the wrist, and it does pay tribute to a vintage style watch. Now, if you like videos like this, hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment of the content you guys would like to see on this channel. I have a lot of videos coming up in the future, so make sure you guys are hitting that notification bell so you can be notified when I drop that next video. Until next time.